Edward de Vere, better known as William Shakespeare, the great British playwright and poet, William Shakespeare is generally acknowledged to be the greatest writer who ever lived. There is a good deal of dispute about his identity, but the talent and achievements of the author are agreed by all. Shakespeare wrote at least 36 plays, including such masterpieces as Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear, Julius Caesar, and Othello, a magnificent set of 154 sonnets and few longer poems. In view of his genius, accomplishment, and deserved fame, it may seem a bit trivial, better known as In view, in view of his genius, accomplishment, and deserved fame, it may seem a bit odd, but his name doesn't appear higher on this list. I have ranked Shakespeare this low not because I am unappreciative of his artistic accomplishments, but only because of my belief that in general literary and artistical figures have had comparatively little influence on human history. The activities of a religious leader, scientist, politician, ex- explorer, or philosopher frequently influence developments in many other fields of human endeavor. For example, scientific advances have had tremendous impact upon economic and political affairs and have also affected religious beliefs, philosophical attitudes, and developments in art. However, a famous painter, though he may not have a great deal However, a famous painter, though he may have a great deal of influence upon the work of subsequent painters, is likely to have very little influence upon the development of music and literature, and virtually none upon science, exploration, or other fields of human endeavor. Similar statements can be made concerning poets, playwrights, and composers of music. In general, artistic figure influence only art, and indeed only the particular field of art in which they work. It is for this reason that no figure of literary, musical, or visual arts has been ranked in the top 20, and only a handful appear on this list at least. Why then are there only artistic figures on this list? One answer is that art generally is, in part, created by art. Art helps to form the connective glue of society. It is no accident that art is a feature of every human civilization that has ever existed. Furthermore, the enjoyment of art plays a direct part in the life of each individual person. In other words, an individual may spend part of his time reading books, part of his time looking at paintings, etc. Even if the time we spent listening to the music had no effect whatsoever upon our other activities, that time would still represent some non insignificant fraction of our lives. However, art does affect our other activities and, in some sense, our whole life. Art connects us to our souls, it expresses our deepest feeling and validates them for us. In some cases, artistic works have a more or less explicit philosophical content which can influence our attitude on other topics. This is, of course, occurs more frequently in the case of literary compositions than in this case of music or painting. For example, when in Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare has the prince say, "Mercy but murders, pardoning those that kill." An idea is presented that has obvious philosophical content and is more likely to influence political attitude than is, say, viewing the Mona Lisa. It seems beyond dispute that Shakespeare is preeminent among all literary figures. Relatively few people today read the works of Chaucer, Virgil, or even Homer, except when those works are assigned reading in school. However, a performance of one of Shakespeare's play is certain to be well attended. Shakespeare's gift for a well-turned phrases is without parallel, and he is frequently quoted, even by persons who have never seen or read his plays. Furthermore, it is plain that his popularity is not a mere past fad. His works have given pleasure to the readers and viewers for almost 4 centuries. As they have already stood the test of time, it seems reasonable to assume that the works of Shakespeare will continue to be popular for a good many centuries to come. In assessing Shakespeare's importance, one should take into account that had he not lived, his plays would ever never would never have been written at all. Of course, a corresponding statement could be made regarding every artistic or literary figure, but that factor does not seem particularly important in evaluating the influence of minor artists. Although Shakespeare wrote in English, he is truly a world figure. If not quite a universal language, English is a closer to being one than any other language ever has been. Moreover, Shakespeare's works have been widely translated, and his works have been read and performed in a very large number of centuries. There are, of course, some popular authors whose writings are disdained by literary critics, not so with Shakespeare, whose works have received unstinting praise from literary scholars. Generations of playwrights have studied his work and have attempted to emulate his literary virtues. This combination of enormous influence on other writers and continued worldwide popularity makes it a plain that William Shakespeare is entitled to a high position in his book. However, there has long been a controversy as to identity of the under the name. The orthodox views, which I accepted uncritically when writing the first edition of this book, is that he has same person as William Shakespeare, who was